Alright, here we go with another Transformer review. This time I'm doing Transformers Prime Voyager class Starscream. So let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to go ahead and just move the toy out of the way. And like always, I'm going to talk about the character bio here. So here's the package here if you're not already familiar with it. So that's just the front of it. Here's the back of it real quick. Shows the robot mode and alt mode and his little weapons. And here's the bio here. I'm just going to read it off here. It says, Starscream hasn't survived this long simply by running away every time he might lose a fight. Every retreat is a calculated risk designed to fulfill a greater purpose. It is often when his enemies believe they are winning that Starscream turns and finishes them off. So there's a little character bio there. It's got some of the artwork there from the show, which is pretty nice. And there's a little spec readout. And that's pretty much all there is to that. So I just wanted to show that off real quick. So let's jump back in here and look at the toy. And obviously here we got him in the alt mode, which is a jet. I'd have to say between the two modes, the alt mode's probably the weakest of the two. It's not bad though. It's actually pretty good. Just a few little minor complaints and nitpicks about it. One of those being that if you look here on the top, it's got this groove running down here, which I wish would kind of close up a little bit more than what it is. You know, maybe that's just the way mine is, but I think it's probably fairly common on all the figures of this guy here. And it's a little kibbly here. You can clearly see his feet here on the underside here. So not the greatest look to it here in the back end of the jet, but it's not bad overall. And quickly, here's the underside of it. So usually the jets and their alt modes are always kind of the weaker of the two modes. Usually they have like a big underside with, you know, obvious robot parts hanging out underneath it. In that regard, this one isn't bad because it is pretty flush with the underside of the plane. Not a lot really hanging down other than just this back end here where you can clearly see, you know, little pieces sticking out, which doesn't really look like how it should on the show or compared to the show version of him, as far as I can remember. And another little complaint is the nose here of the jet is a kind of soft rubbery plastic, which that isn't really the complaint. It's just that it kind of really looks like it's easy to pop off here. It's just kind of pegged in here. So yeah, it looks like you could just pop this whole thing off or maybe even break the little post that it pegs into or that holds it in place here. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Other than that, the alt mode's not bad. I actually kind of like the way it looks, other than a few little minor complaints. Oh, and one other minor little complaint here. There's no actual landing gear to this guy here in his alt mode. If you look closely here, there's supposed to be like a little wheel here. And these are supposed to be like wheels here, but they're very small. And it again, there's just no real landing gear at all to it. They could have probably put something here that maybe would have flipped down, a little wheel and strut, or maybe put something even here in his legs that could have popped out. It just makes it look a little cheaper overall, considering this is a Voyager class figure. It's something I would expect to see on a deluxe class figure. But like I was saying, overall, the alt mode's pretty cool. I actually like it. Just a few little complaints and nitpicks. And quickly, let's talk about his little weapon here. And they called it on the package, I believe, is his null ray blaster. And it's pretty much the same as the version of Optimus Prime, the Voyager class version of Optimus Prime's weapon, except that the front end of it here is different, and it's a different colored plastic. It's purple instead of Optimus Prime's blue, but basically the same gimmick. You just do like that, and it swings forward, and the little laser thingy lights up, or the little LED. So that's that there. And just for a real comparison, here's the one that Optimus Prime came with. So you can see the difference in it. Same thing, just a different front part to it and different colored plastic. So that's pretty much all there is to these here. Not real big on these. I think it looks ridiculous for the jet to have this big thing. You can attach it here underneath, I believe, if you pop out one of the missiles here. But it'd be hanging down there and it just would look very silly. I think you can also pop it in here, but it doesn't really sit in there. Oh yeah, right here. Here's a little hole for it, but again, that just looks very ridiculous. Mounted here on the top. Mine doesn't want to go in there. There it goes. So yeah, that's completely dumb looking in my opinion. So I will never ever put that on top there. But enough about that. Let's get started here going through the transformation. And the transformation is pretty simple, not too complicated and not too simplistic, but kind of a medium balance of a transformation. But first thing you want to do is just pop his legs off here. I'm just going to go ahead and flip them around. So just pull this apart like that. That's going to pop his legs loose, and these are clearly his arms. And you can just swing these kind of forward and out of the way. And if you want, you can go ahead and take the nose here and just bend it back. Rotate it up. And another little complaint, his waist area here doesn't really, at least on mine, doesn't really like lock into place. It just kind of rests there. It looks like it should lock into place, but I've tried to mash it in there and it doesn't really lock into place. So go ahead and just rotate like this, his little thighs around, like so that they're facing towards you. Then his feet here, you can go ahead and move these little spikes up for his knees. And these again here are a soft rubbery plastic. I wish maybe they were a little more rigid than what they are. But go ahead and take his feet here and just flip them forward. And then this part here just rotates around like that. And just do the same here. So that's going to pretty much do his legs there. Let's kind of balance them out here. The good thing about the way they did the legs here is, with regards to the feet area here, is because it's got this big kind of kibbly parts here, it makes them stand very well. Balances pretty easily. So let's go ahead and do the rest of them here now. So his arms, pretty much you're going to want to split them apart here, like that. And let's go ahead and just pop his little missiles off and get them out of the way. They are removable, as you can see. And go back here to his wings. This part here just kind of pops out like that and like that, and it'll allow you to swing this little part forward like that. And then once those are out of the way, you can take the wings here and just rotate them up like that. That's going to give you room now to move his arms down. So take these and rotate them down and kind of rotate them around like that. And then this black part here, you're going to want to rotate. It's on a little hinge till it's going the opposite way, like that. And then you can lock it into place there to form his chest. So just do the same thing here. Rotate that back. Whoops, let's get this all the way back here. There we go. Now we can just rotate this part forward. His head does kind of get in the way here a little bit. There we go. And locking his little chest. Then it's just a matter of unfolding his arms and kind of straightening everything out. So lift his little shoulder panel up here like this and pull his arm down and just rotate it around. And push the little panels or his wings down here like that. Same thing here, just lift this up, pop out his arm, rotate it around, push the little wing in. Now you got a couple options on how you want to display these little shoulder panels here. You can leave them kind of up like this if you like, or I like to just kind of do them like that. And I think that's how they show them in the instructions as far as the proper orientation for those. But that's pretty much it for his robot mode now. And then the only thing left to do would be to put his missiles on his arms here. Or, if you wanted to, you could peg in that big null ray blaster they came with, but I think it looks completely ridiculous. So I'm just going to kind of leave it off here and put his missiles on like how he has them on the show. And you'll notice they're not painted red. Neither is the little rubber spike here. Again, this is the soft rubbery kind of plastic here. But his little spike here on his head isn't painted red, it's gray. So if you want, maybe you can whip out the old paintbrush and slap some paint on there if you don't like it being gray. You want to make it look more show accurate. Let's kind of stand him up here and get everything lined up. So that's him there in his robot mode, and let's just kind of pan in here and look at him up close. I think they did a really good job here with the robot mode. The face sculpt And all the detail looks pretty much dead on like how he does on the show. I really like the eyes there. I do wish they could have maybe light piped the eyes as opposed to painting them red, but it still looks good the way it is here. You can clearly see they got the purple light piping piece back in here, but obviously it's painted red, so it doesn't work at all. But very cool looking. I like this robot mode. I kind of like the overall design of him on the show, something kind of different look to Starscream. So I think this really works, and like I said earlier, this is definitely the best of the two modes for this toy here. Not 100% show accurate, you know, but for what they did, I think it looks probably as good as they could get it. This probably being the little weakest part of his robot mode here is this stuff hanging off here on his feet. But it does help, you know, keep him standing up straight and keep him from tipping over. And he is very tall and lanky here in his robot mode. And let's just do a little quick size comparison here with the other Voyager class Decepticon out right now, which is Megatron. And he actually is a little bit taller than Megatron, I believe. So you can kind of see there, he's definitely a little bit taller, a lot more lankier. So yeah, you know, not so show accurate in that regard. He's definitely taller than Megatron here. And just for another little quick reference with another Decepticon, this is obviously Deluxe class guy, but here's Soundwave. So yeah, he's a good deal taller than Soundwave there. But yeah, I think this is a really cool version of him. Like I said, I like the way it looks. I think the robot mode's the best part. Let's talk quickly here about the articulation. Pretty good range of movement, a lot of joints. I'm not going to run through everything on him. As you could tell, kind of transforming him, he's got a lot of movement with his arms, a lot of joints here, the wrists. The legs can swivel and move around, bend up and down, the knees can go, head can go. No waist movement though, or rotation in the waist. But other than that, pretty much everything you could think of that should move can move. So you should be able to get some pretty good poses out of them. But overall, I think this is a very good version of Starscream. If you're into Prime, this is definitely one to get. He should be out now in the stores. I've had this guy for a couple weeks now already. And should be out, so just keep your eyes open. So yeah, I'd say definitely pick this guy up. So with that, I'll wrap it up here with my look at Transformers Prime Voyager class Starscream.